Hi, I'm Dara Thomason, and this is episode 231, How to Have Peace in the Holidays with Your Weight Loss Goals. Do you also experience the dilemma of you know what you should eat, but then you find yourself eating that pint of ice cream at 10 p.m.? And you've been struggling with this for years, decades, so you're in the right place because this isn't about learning one more diet plan. It's about fixing your thinking problem. We know what we're supposed to eat, but we don't. We know how many hours we're supposed to sleep and we should move our bodies. So what is it? Why does our life feel like it's kind of out of control? The problem is we can do this with other areas of our life, like complete different tasks at work or take care of your children, execute different plans. So why is it so hard for us? I'm so glad you're here on this podcast because I have learned finally why I struggled. And now I've lost over 50 pounds and kept that off without counting calories, without tracking steps. Now I know, especially entering menopause, that we can, like an old dog learning new tricks, it's totally possible. So today's episode is going to be geared to the holidays and making weight loss goals. So I understand this is coming out on the 22nd of December. It's go time, right? Like the holiday parties, Christmas Eve, New Year's. I'm here to help you with real life experience and strategies so you don't have to feel afraid of food anymore. How many of us have said, I will take care of that in January, but we don't know the real things that are going to change. We just keep putting it off, procrastination. So this podcast is an opportunity for you to see new things and have different insight so you can create more change. Now, I have a course coming out in January that's really focusing on what I'm talking about here. I also have my lifetime membership program that you can check out. I've been helping women for years on how to do this when they get lots of support. In January, in the program, we will be doing a lot of similar things that we'll be doing in the course. If that's interesting to you, the doors are open for that. It is pay once and you get in for life kind of deal. So you can check that out. Today, I want to look at the first one is how to make a goal without the fear of failure, but more of the power of possibility. The second we're going to dive into is actually real science of how the brain and the body are connected and how do we use those in our best interest. And then the third is, again, some real strategies on how to make practical change. All right. So number one, what has been your experience with failure? Did you ever fail a test at school? Or maybe 89% was failure because that meant you didn't get 11% of what they were trying to see if you knew. Let's explore a little bit more about that. I will never forget the first test that I failed. I did late immersion in grade 7 and I got the test back and I went to the bathroom. I still remember standing in the bathroom crying because I'd never failed a test before and I didn't even know what to do with myself. It was so devastating. The idea of going home and telling my parents that I failed a test made me so afraid that I would be rejected, that I wasn't good enough. Think back in your own life of what you perceive would be failure, whether it's a test at school, trying to accomplish a certain goal and then not achieving it. Tell me more about that. Obviously, you can't tell me because we're not face to face, but just in your own brain, you could even put me on pause and talk about what that looked like. Now, I want you to think about, contrast that with when's the last time you taught a little kid something new? I always like to use the example of tying shoelaces. So let's say you're practicing tying shoelaces with a kid and they're not getting it. What is your reaction to this little 5-year-old or 4-year-old? Are you yelling at them? Are you screaming? Of course not. You're encouraging. That's amazing. Keep trying. Look at it this way. Let's try this way. Oh, yeah, you're doing it. Let's take your shoe off. And maybe if you tie it this way, it'll be easier. Maybe you make a little game and a little song about the bunny ears. So when did you stop learning and letting yourself learn in that way? This is a really good question. Yesterday, I had parent-teacher interviews with my son's. He's in grade 8. I talked to lots of different teachers, and they were talking about his coping strategies. We all have our own coping strategies. We know our strengths. We know our weaknesses. Part of it we can have, I'm a kinesthetic learner. I learn better if I watch something on YouTube or if I read it. I learn better if I have a diagram, right? We're all different. One of the challenges that we have with goals is, how do we approach failure? How do we allow ourselves to learn as we make a goal and work through the process of figuring it out? With weight loss, we say, okay, I want to lose 80 pounds, or I want to not carry around this extra 40 pounds. We can go to experts and follow their list. We can ask our friends. We can go on Facebook and say, hey, who's lost weight? What's worked for you? We can Google. We can go to our past and say, when did I lose weight before? How did that work? What was really helpful? So these are all different strategies that you can use. And then we can go around and say, I'm going to try this keto thing, or these pills, or these shots. So then what starts happening? We make a plan, and then things go, it's hard to stick to a new plan. Especially when, imagine you're teaching a 5-year-old and you're screaming at this 5-year-old, why did you do it like this? What's wrong with you? When are you going to learn? When are you ever going to change? You're not smart. We've been doing this now for 10 minutes and you're such a failure. So if this is starting to resonate with you a little bit, that was me for 30 years. What's wrong with you? Why are you such a failure? So if your mental inner dialogue that's on autopilot, like you didn't wake up in the morning and say, guess what I'm going to do today? I'm going to be really mean to myself so that I can reach a goal. Just like I would yell at my 5-year-old, which you wouldn't, right? Or even a friend who's the same age as you. If your friend was learning a new skill, you wouldn't yell at her. So why are you allowed to yell at you? Why is that permitted? Now, I want you to think about learning conditions. And this is geared for the holidays. One of the things that happens around Christmas is people tend to be a little bit gentler. They're a little bit more joyful. They're a little bit more chatty. They're a little bit more excited. There's an excitement in the air. There's a joyfulness and anticipation. We have the holiday specials and the Hallmark specials, and we want to rewatch those favorites, the movies. And then there's kind of like this general letdown afterwards. It's anticipation, right? All the lights, all the excitement, everything. We want to have that peace, that joy, those connections. We want to do those special things with our family to feel connected. We want to feel that peace. We want to feel like we're honoring ourselves. The big message here is, if we make a goal, that's amazing. Making goals is not the problem. It's the process. The process is a disaster because your inner self-talk is like a battlefield. And that is why we go to procrastination. That is fear. I cannot do that thing. If I do that thing, I'm going to get yelled at. I'm going to get in trouble. Then we have people pleasing. It's like, well, I better make everyone else happy because I ain't happy. I don't know how to make myself happy. And I guess I'm not really worthwhile. And then we have perfectionism. So perfectionism is, if I am perfect, then everything will be fine. I was listening to a podcast from Brené Brown about trust. Her daughter came home from school and was devastated. I'm never going back. I hate people. Brené Brown was just like, what's going on? She had trusted a friend with some information, and then the friend blabbed and told people. She's devastated. People are terrible. And then the mama bear in her was like, yes, they are, to protect her daughter. She came up with this concept of the marble jar. She said, okay, we're going to do this marble jar. Every time you trust somebody and they are trusted, you put a marble in this jar. I help when I work with women on weight loss, we have a marble jar, but we do it with urges. When you have an urge to eat something and you know that won't help you, that doesn't solve that problem, and you process that urge, you let that vibration be in your body, you're strengthening the muscle that you don't have to follow the urge. You don't have to buy the extra fabric, or you don't have to eat the chocolate or even gossip. Like, there's lots of urges to do things that aren't great for us, right? That dilemma of we know what we should do, but we don't do it. The more that you can do that, the more you can build trust with yourself. And you watch that trust with yourself grow. As you are more focused on growth and on change, the less you're going to be in the negative thinking. As I think about having more peace, this is the last part, is how do you actually have peace? If you've been listening to my podcast for a while, you know that our feelings only come from our thoughts. We can have circumstances. They can influence our thoughts. It takes a little bit more work. If someone's yelling at us, you're like, circumstance, someone yelling at us. That feels really urgent, right? That's when we go into our lower brain, and that's perceived danger or real danger. Ultimately, we always get to have the last word of what do I think and how do I want to be. When we're in our higher brain and we think about our thinking, we reclaim our power. Peace comes from thoughts like, I can do hard things. I'm really proud of myself for trying. I haven't figured this out yet, but I am never going to quit on myself. I am really struggling, but I am so proud that I'm not going back to eating. Last Friday, I was working on something that felt really a huge task for me, really out of my comfort zone. I wanted so badly to get it right. It was fascinating because I kept bringing my good student, I can do this, just follow the rules. And I was like, no, we're not doing that anymore, Dara. But that worked for me for so long. Yeah, but that's not working. I had to remind myself, no, that's diet mentality, Dara. That doesn't work for you. 99% of people who go on diets gain their weight back. It was hard for me to catch myself in the moment. And I had this very big goal, and it felt very important that I do well at it. I've invested in all of that. And I had to keep stopping myself and say, no, we're not doing that. We're not, just like I used to do with sugar, just like I used to do with flour. And so when you are making goals, whether they're weight loss goals or goals like I had last Friday, it was really hard for me to catch myself in that pattern because it was so subconscious, where we actually do very similar work that I'm doing in this extra class, or do the extra class like a Costco sample. If you're like, I really am curious about all of this podcast, you really resonate with me, Dara, but spending money on myself feels really crazy, especially $2,000, then this would be an option for you. People will say to me, your podcast changed my life. They chose to use the tools for their brain and they decided to make those changes. Yes, the podcast is powerful. But imagine being in the program and getting that support. It's such a different experience because now you're not just on your walk and you're not just doing the dishes, whatever you're doing right now, you're actually in with me and the program and the other people on the call in real time, learning. There's an energy there. There's a power there that you can't get anywhere else. I'm going to share an experience where one of the women in the program experienced a huge loss and really devastated, had a really hard time, was able to say, because of the connections, first of all, the tools, huge, but she said because of the connections of the other women, and she named 2 specifically in the program, this has been so much easier. Another woman in the program was getting coaching the other day, and she said, yeah, I talk to my accountability partner about this quite often, and I'm still working through this. And I thought, wow, isn't that amazing? That not only is she able to articulate her pattern, but she has an accountability partner who's another person in the program. And so that's an option. If you want an accountability partner, I match people up. And then the third is to actually get coaching from me on that process. If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you always got. There's no amount of Pinterest boards, no about a recipe saved, no amount of cookbooks or meditations or whatever it is that you can listen to that's going to create permanent change. You are your own unique individual, so you have your baggage. The more that you can use the tools I teach, they show you your unique baggage, your unique struggles, so you can find your own unique solutions. I'm so happy you're here, and I love to serve you. If you have any questions, please reach out to my team, support@Dara Thomason, and we're here to help you. If you're interested in those classes, the links are below. Take care. If you know what you should do, but you can't figure out why you keep falling short, that's the dilemma, isn't it? You have all the knowledge, you know the steps, but something keeps you from following through. That's exactly what we resolve in Love Yourself Thin, my lifetime membership for quilters and creatives, because you don't have a knowledge problem, you have a thinking problem, and that's what we're here to solve. When you join Love Yourself Thin, you get lifetime access to the tools to help you understand why you do what you do, so you can finally create permanent weight loss. No more frustration, no more wondering what's wrong with you, just real transformation from the inside out. You can learn more and join at www.darathomason.com. This is where the real work happens. Can't wait to see you there.